Ayman Khan here for Seconds Out with former three-weight world champion Duke McKenzie MBE on a Sunday morning. Duke, good morning. Let's get straight into the conversation. Usyk versus Fury 2, eagerly anticipated. What did you see unfold before your eyes last night?
It was a good fight, very entertaining fight, very edge of your seat kind of stuff. I think for the Fury sort of fanboys out there, it was very, very edge of your seat stuff because obviously they all wanted him to win, and it was a decent fight. I think it was a great fight, but it was a decent fight when you consider the fact that Usyk was given away 4 stone in weight. It's ridiculous, and it can only happen in the heavyweight division. That would be like me fighting at flyweight and fighting like a middleweight. Do you see what I mean? Like fighting like Marvin Hagler as an example, giving away 4 stone in weight. That's an incredible amount of weight. And yet, Fury really couldn't impose his weight, and he couldn't really make that weight count. I had the money quite even going into about the 8th round. There was nothing in it, not really. And then Usyk did what Usyk does. He just showed his class and up the game. Once he ups his game, which he has a really quite a unique way of doing, once he ups his tempo, the rest of the heavyweights can't stay with him. He's just a really good ring general. The guy knows his stuff, and I didn't expect the fight to be any different. I expected him to win, and he won quite comfortably for me.
A lot was made about Tyson Fury's weight going into this fight and the changes he'd make, one in the corner and then two just in the fight. But was Fury any better the second time around than the first?
Nah, he did better the first time round than he did this time round. Like I say, bigger doesn't make you better. Bigger makes you slower, more predictable, which is what I thought he was yesterday. All this business about the beard. I mean, I thought the beard was I thought that was I thought it was an illegal thing to have in boxing. I don't think you was allowed a beard. You can rub that beard into your opponent's eyes quite easily if you're close enough in the infringements and possibly blind him. But they allowed it. So I mean, it's like they've got one rule for Tyson Fury and another rule for everybody else. But regardless of that, he didn't win the fight. I didn't think he was ever going to win the fight, and he wasn't really in the fight for me. There wasn't a lot in it, like I say, for the first 8 rounds. I thought Fury would probably get stopped, to be honest with you, but he didn't. And that was probably down to the fact that his saving grace was that he was 20 stone and not 16 stone, what Usyk was. I mean, Usyk was never hurt in the fight. He was never really troubled in the fight. He finished the fight like a champion does, on his toes with a flurry. And I was quite impressed with Usyk. I mean, for me, Usyk is a modern day great, not an all-time great. I wrote down a few names actually of some of the fighters that Muhammad Ali boxed over the years. But Ali had like Cooper, Liston, Chevalier, Patterson, Foster, Norton, Foreman, Lyle, Fraser, Shavers, right? He had a whole host of fighters that had been champion or former champions or went on to become champions. And unfortunately for Usyk, he doesn't have those sort of dance partners. But like I say, he's a modern day great. The guy he's phenomenal. When you look at the heavyweight division and you're looking for a pure boxer, you're looking for the pure artistry of the sport of boxing, then in the heavyweight division, then you look no further than Oleksandr Usyk, because as a heavyweight, he can do it all. He jabs, he moves, he mixes his punches up quite well, hits to the head, hits to the body. Like I say, he's a little combination puncher. He's a 2-division world champion. He's got so much to be proud of and so much to be thankful for. And I really admire the man. I think the way he carries himself, the way he conducts himself, both inside and outside of the ring, a lot of young people, old people can learn so much from this guy because he's everything a champion should be. Unfortunately, Fury, for me, he kind of lowered the tone, and I don't think for 1 minute he gives a rat's ass about what I think about him or what anybody else thinks about him. But when you lower the tone and you start using the C word and calling the other guy all kinds of verbal, horrible names, that leaves a bit of taste in your mouth. And there'll be many people this morning be saying, well, he got what he deserved because he didn't deserve to win the fight. And for me, like I say, it's just it left a bitter taste in my mouth. And he got beat up by middleweight again. You can't, there's so much to be said for Usyk. 4 stone in weight. You've got no idea of how difficult it is and how much that actually takes out of you when you're sparring. Oh, sorry, when you fight somebody that's got that kind of weight advantage. I mean, I've only ever sparred men that are maybe like a stone, maybe 2 stone heavier than me, and it drains your energy. It saps your strength. And when you've got to do that for 12 rounds, and you've got to be on your guard. You've got to make sure everything's just working so you don't get drawn in or you don't slow down or you don't go tired. That's the testament to Usyk's real stamina and commitment to the sport of boxing. He eats it, sleeps it, walks it, and talks it. There's no need for a rematch or anything like that because they're only going to get the same again. I don't think there'll be a rematch anyway. I feel I'd like to, Tyson Fury should he should retire. He's got nothing more to prove. He's been heavyweight champion of the world. Can't ask for more than that. He's got more money than he can spend. Can't ask for more than that. So he runs the risk now of one or two of the other heavyweights that are around that should retire that probably won't. Yeah, I'd like to see him retire.
Yeah, answered a lot there of my questions that I had, so I've got a few more for you, Duke, unless any more pop into my head. But one of them was just to keep the focus on Fury for a moment. Frank Warren suggested
Sure.
he couldn't he couldn't quite agree with 116, 112 that all three judges had, and he felt that Fury did win that fight there. Do you see any kind of credibility in a Fury win at all?
None whatsoever. Frank Warren would say that because Frank Warren he's biased and he is his promoter. So the cash cow's gone now. And like I say, he would say that. You would expect him to say that. He's going to back his man to the hilt. You don't expect him to say, well, Usyk won the fight, fair and square. Where do we go from now? Well, he did say that actually, where do we go from now? So, that's the one thing he did get right. Tyson Fury didn't win that fight. Tyson Fury knows he didn't win that fight. The judges have proven yet again that he didn't win that fight. The scorecards were it was a unanimous decision. It wasn't like one of them gave him the fight. The first fight was a lot closer than the second fight. And like I say, he didn't win. And the scorecard showed that. The judges proved that. Usyk is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the 2-time undisputed champion of the world, cruiserweight and at heavyweight. So what a record. What a thing to tell your children and your grandchildren. I mean, Usyk made reference to his son. It was a double celebration for him. Said his son had won I think it was an orange belt in judo or something like this. So, it's a double celebration for Usyk. He can go home now. He'll go home and he'll start training again, I dare say, because he's been calling out Daniel Dubois. So that's that's one for the future, I'm sure. But Dubois got to get past Joseph Parker first, which isn't an easy fight. That's not a given. But I expect Dubois to win that fight. And as I say, I think he's very much on the ascendancy. Got everything going for him right now, Daniel Dubois. So he's an absolute beast of the division. And should Usyk decide to retire, then I would expect Dubois to clean up and become undisputed at heavyweight.
Dubois did sort of steal Usyk's moment a little bit there, didn't he?
Yeah, he tried to, jump on his bandwagon. It's a little bit. I'm not going to say it's classless because that's what fighters do now to sell their neck. Looking for the next meal ticket. So I can't blame him in that respect for jumping on the bandwagon. But now, listen, you've got to back off, give Usyk his day in the sun because Usyk more than deserved to be called the undisputed. He worked so hard. And like I say, to finish a 12-round fight on your toes, peppering with your jab, throwing terrific right hands for a heavyweight I'm talking about. It was beautiful to watch. It really was. I know I'm a Usyk fan. I'm a boxing fan. But when I see a big guy trying to fight like a middleweight, which is what he's been called, and he actually produced that sort of performance, it was quite pleasing, to be honest with you.
In amongst some of the post-fight reactions that I caught whilst assisting with my team over in Riyadh, I did catch Carl Froch's breakdown of the fight, and he suggested that maybe that Usyk wasn't at the peak of his powers anymore. From what you've seen tonight, would you agree with Carl in the sense that competing with himself and past performances, Usyk isn't that peak performance of what he's put on beforehand, and this is him on the slide a little bit as well.
Isn't it ironic that people can still find flaws and pick holes, or even suggest the guy that's won is on the slide? Can you really compare it to the destruction that he done against somebody like the Bellew? The only reason that Usyk didn't knock out Tyson Fury is because Tyson Fury had a 4 stone weight advantage. So that gives you, it's like hitting a brick wall. Bang! It's like hitting a brick every time. It's like hitting a brick wall. So no, I don't feel that that Usyk's put in a better performance. The only person that is going to retire Usyk is Oleksandr Usyk. Should he retire? Yeah, why not? I mean, he's earned a bucket load of money, but there's another bucket load of money to earn out there. So, and the chances are, it doesn't matter who they put in front of him, he's going to beat them as well. So maybe one more, maybe one more. I'm not sure who against, but maybe one more. I mean, like I say, the Daniel Dubois fight is a huge fight in terms of revenue. He's beating everybody else. There isn't anybody else for him to fight of the existing current world-class heavyweights. You've got a lot of young guys coming through now. And but Oleksandr Usyk, maybe one more and then call it a day. And I'm pretty sure that's the way he's going to work it. I'm pretty sure we'll just see him in the ring one more time. He's no more in a decline now as he was 5 years ago, because there isn't anybody to beat him. So he can do what he wants. He can box, he can jab, he can move, he can punch. He can do what he wants. The guys that are behind him, you got the champion, then you got the also-rans, and that's how it's going to be. It's like a horse race for him. He's way ahead of anybody else that's out there.
How does then Usyk compare to the fighters of the past when we like to pitch these fantasy fights and things of that ilk? Where do you kind of put Usyk in terms of your rankings with other fighters that have fought at his weight?
Well, as I said earlier on, he's a modern day great. This is 2024. He's a modern day great. So if you want to talk about guys like, Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson and Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, I don't think he beats any of them, by the way. When I think about it, that's a tough one. No, I don't think he beats any of them. He doesn't. They're true heavyweights. They're big. They're huge guys. That's what I'm saying. There's a difference between your modern day great fighters and your all-time great fighters. Those guys I've just mentioned, and they were big heavyweights too, and they could all box. And I don't think I don't want to say he's not. He's a modern day great fighter, and I think that's what we should appreciate and what we should accept. This is the modern era that we're living in. I mean, when you've got guys on YouTube or these, I don't know, misfits or whatever they call them, I don't even know. But when you've got these sort of guys talking about their world champions, this is the society we live in now. This is the modern times that we're living in now. These guys are calling themselves, great fighters, great. They're great anyway. That's quite pathetic to me, if you see what I mean. But no, he's an all-time. He's modern day great, not an all-time great. Going back to this misfits thing, wouldn't it be good to see someone like Gareth Davies fight against John Morley in one of these misfit fight things? That would be quite entertaining. I know where my money would be if that ever came off, but it wouldn't. But no, I mean, I love the sport of boxing. I eat it, sleep it, walk it, talk it even now. I love watching it, and I love these conversations that I can have and give my vast experience that I've had over 17 world title fights. And I still don't consider myself an expert. I'm just a voice. I'm someone that's been in the ring, and I know what it is to be hit and hurt, and I know what it is to hit and hurt people and knock people out, and then be called a British or a European or a world champion. I've been very, very privileged, and I consider this a privilege because I love talking about the sport of boxing. It's great.
How'd you turn your attention finally to the other heavyweight fights if you caught them alongside the main event? Moses Itauma getting a stunning finish against Dempsey McKean, which was billed as a step up, and then Johnny Fisher versus David Allen, which a lot of people thought maybe that Fisher would end up on the end of an emphatic victory, but he did get the victory, but in controversial circumstances.
Yeah, Fisher never won that fight. I don't know where the judges' eyes were or what they were thinking, but he definitely never won that fight. That was pretty much daylight robbery in my eyes. Moses Ituama is going to be very, very special. He just needs a little bit of time. If he takes a leaf out of what's just happened with Johnny Fisher, they're trying to run before they can walk. He come up against a solid opponent and come unstuck. But obviously, Allen never got the decision, which is completely wrong. The same could happen to Ituama if they push him too fast. You know, he could easily come unstuck, but I don't think that will happen. He's very, very classy. I've watched him. He's learning, and providing he learns at the right rate, then we've got a future potential superstar.
Gee, that's everything I have for you. Much appreciated. I wish you obviously a great Christmas and New Year, and hopefully we'll chat in the new year as well.
I look forward to it, champ. Thanks again for the invite, and I look forward to talking to you in the new year. Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy New Year.
Oh, Duke, sorry. The listeners really liked a little bit of the Trevor chat. How is Trevor?
Oh, my boy. Yeah, he's great. Trevor's great. You know, he's like I say, Trevor's my sidekick. He's asleep, actually, right as we speak. He's on a settee, fast asleep. Once we've been out and we've done our walk, he normally crashes and burns. And then he gets, in about another half an hour, he'll wake up because, it's breakfast time. But no, my puppy, he's great. I won't wake him because when I wake him up, he gets the ump. So, but next time we get on, I'll put him in shot so the viewers can have a little look at him.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Duke, much appreciated.
Thanks, champ. I appreciate you. God bless. Thank you.